official Riot Games Corporate EMEA Championship.
Everybody round here know we getting hyped. Everybody round, 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 everybody round here know we getting hyped.
Welcome back to the Wild Rift EMEA Championships, and if you didn't guess Darius Double, you haven't watched enough Darius here at the EMEA Championships, because that always happens. I'm Stress, joined by Stuart for Team Queso versus Zero Zone, and while I think a lot of people on paper would say it's going to go one way, we're going to dive in shortly into how Zero Zone have been on the rise this week. So, had a crazy first series of the day. First of all, though, kind of want to hear what's broken as hells this week.
Broken as hell. And who is it? It's the Giga chat that you're seeing right there. It's your boy Garen. This champion is so incredibly broken. We're seeing him nearly every single game in competitive, and there is a reason for it. Unkillable. I mean, look at him. Would you want to mess with a champion like that? And if you look at him, like, focus on the Garen right there, Vi right there, on 10% HP, just destroying the Varus right there. Spin to win indeed. This champion has it all. He has it all. The damage, the tankiness, the lane pressure, the late game, everything. He's a very high priority pick, and it makes sense. Like, we've seen multiple players make this champion work many, many times. Also, Garen being first pick. Garen being first pick. I'm sorry. Garen being first pick. And here, yet again, we see Vi. We talked about it earlier. Vi on the Garen is incredibly scary. I mean, just look at him. He's just running down, doing whatever he wants. And then the Garen flowchart. Very easy to play. That is it for Broken as Hells. Back to the casters.
Broken as hells, or hell's broken by the memes? That's basically the question. Stuart, let's dive right in. This is going to be a banger of a series. Queso, Zero Zone, you've watched this series twice already this week. Tell me about Zero Zone.
I mean, I could talk about both teams, really. I feel like
That's what you're here to do, so I'm glad you can.
Zero Zone have definitely been performing really, really well during the week, during the purchase tournament. And I think just after they won against KTRL, I felt like they've been gaining more and more momentum, and they've got that kind of strength to go into this series as well. And really, really strong, especially I want to focus on the solo laners for Zero Zone. So Patterson and Saphiro. Patterson has been getting multiple solo kills on the likes of Camille, Darius, and even with them two champions gone, on the likes of Riven as well. But to take a look at the rosters, obviously you got Patterson, you got Saphiro, Labunya, Our Nation, and Fran, who's been picking up set support recently, which has been quite interesting. And then for Team Casey, you got Acolyte, Andreas, Veos, Joey Skaggs, and Methanol. But two really, really strong teams overall. We get another Spanish clash, Stress.
Yeah, it feels like Queso have to run the gauntlet of their country brethren. Just kind of like eliminate all of the Spanish teams. Comline somewhere is, I'm sure, like distraught over the fact that these two teams have to face off each other. I mean, Zero Zone, let's not understate how close Zero Zone were to being out of the WREC. It literally was like 300 health on their Nexus, that they would hold through having that fortitude on the Nexus and be able to run it all the way back through game 2, through game 3 against Control. Now they have to face against Queso. Queso have players like Andre, they have players like Joey Skaggs that we've seen have really strong carry performances. Andre is the key point that I think you have to like get off a really strong pick that can carry in these drafts, because when he gets the Olaf, when he gets the Lee Sin, he is devastating.
He is devastating indeed, and you can't really, it's hard to ban him out as well, because most of the time when you try and ban him out, he's just going to come up with something completely different.
Yeah, he is going to come up with something different. Let's hear from Hells about his key points before we head into our second series of the day.
talking about the key points between Team Queso and Zero Zone, Team Queso is looking incredibly powerful, right? We said the same thing about Navi before, though. But here it is as well, right? Like, Team Queso is the obvious team that's supposed to have the win, is supposed to be better. They're looking incredibly powerful. The next one, Zero Zone actually lost to Team Queso twice before. In some other Wilders tournaments, Zero Zone actually lost to Team Queso twice, very, very recently. So that may be a mental advantage towards Team Queso as well. But obviously, we know this is the main tournament. This is where Team Queso and Zero Zone are going to show everything. Maybe Zero Zone didn't show that in the previous tournaments. Who knows? But they have lost against them twice before. And then the next thing is Patterson against Acolyte. I love both of these players, and I love the Baron lane role. Both these players are going to have an absolute showdown in the Baron lane, right? We know how good Acolyte is. We saw him during the Horizon Cup last year. And then Patterson as well. We've seen him play as well. Incredible players, both of them, and my eyes are going to be on the Baron lane. So that is it for the key points. Shooting it back to the casters, Stress and Stewart. Get into the game.
Thank you very much, Hells. Let's get closer to picks and bans. We had a very funky first draft of the day. I think there's a little bit even more priority on the likes of Yuumi in this game, because we've seen Queso run it with the Olaf a number of times. So still expecting that to be banned, still expecting Fiora to be banned as well. Are there any other key picks that we should look at in this draft that we haven't seen so much of today?
Morgana, I definitely think it's going to be a big priority in this series. So I was about to say tournament. In this series, Team Queso and Joey has been picking up Morgana a lot. Camille is another pick that we didn't really see too much of in the last series, but Patterson and both Acolyte are really, really strong on Camille. And as you've mentioned already, the likes of Yuumi as well. I think Zero Zone are just not going to give that over to Team Queso, because we've seen what they could do with Yuumi, and they ran it during the week as well. They actually ran Lulu mid lane, Yuumi support with Graves in the jungle and Andreas. And I don't even need to explain what happens next, you know. Andreas running across the map with them double healers and double support. So maybe we could potentially be seeing that today as well.
I feel like Team Queso are a little bit more of an innovative team. Like, I like to always separate teams out into like innovators and refiners, where like innovators are the first teams to like look at a meta and different picks that are available. Refiners are the ones that take it to that next level, and they say, okay, you've given us the idea, let's now like make the diamond out of the coal. And we'll see whether Team Queso can bring us some more innovation here on this one against Zero Zone, who I think Zero Zone have looked very impressive, as well as you mentioned some of the things that they were doing this week.
Yeah, they've been really, really strong. They've actually taken down teams like Game Lord as well. So they've looked really, really strong. But both times that Zero Zone did play Team Queso this past week during the Purge tournament, they actually did lose twice, 2-0. So maybe third time lucky for Zero Zone. I like that they Team Queso banned out Camille though. First up, but taking that away from Patterson, as mentioned already. Patterson has looked so strong on this Camille. Actually solo killed Acolyte as well during the week, so they feel like that is something that is going to be dangerous. And obviously, as we mentioned, Yuumi, Fiora being banned, Olaf interestingly being banned for Team Queso, Set being banned, which we saw last week being played by Fran against Control, the support set, so banning that away as well.
That's very heavy on the old bruises from Team Queso side of being banned out. Vayne banned out as well. Now, we just saw Vayne in the solo lane in the previous game, but red side ban on Vayne. That is not what I was expecting.
I think because Zero Zone know they don't have to ban out the set, they probably would have banned maybe the set out of Zero Zone, but they've actually been banning out Vayne, and there you go. I said that perfectly. The Morgana priority for Team Queso. Joey loves playing Morgana at the moment. It just offers so much team fight, so much wave clear, and it's just so strong. But going back to quickly that Vayne ban, they've actually been doing it throughout the whole week as well against Team Queso. So they feel like the threat of Joey on the Vayne, we've seen him play it before, is just too much. And now that he doesn't have the Vayne available, he's just going to go straight to that Morgana.
Yeah, that's a fair point. We know he's a mechanically heavy player. I think one other thing that Morgana is going to lend Team Queso, throw that black shield on Andre, and suddenly you can't stop him as easily. You got to get some of that crowd control to stick. So Galio is one way of doing it, putting out multiple areas of crowd control, both his taunt and his ultimate. Maybe that's one way of them getting it. First Galio we've really seen in a few weeks. Haven't seen all that much. And without a Camille, I wonder what Zero Zone are going to pair it with. It's not going to be our nation's Galio, because now we've got a Varus. Means it's likely Sephiroth or Fran that are going to be the ones piloting that Galio.
Yeah, I think most likely we'll be going to Fran, but it can go in the mid lane as well. We've seen it a few times in the mid lane. I think that's also a pick that they're taken away from Team Queso as well, because Team Queso have played the Galio Morgana in the duo lane before. Our nation on Varus, no surprise, but you left the Rakan Open. Again, another champion that's been so strong, especially in the previous series as well. I mentioned, you know, when the likes of Show plays it as well, and multiple other players are playing up Rakan at the moment. Again, just for that team fight presence. And the combo at the moment we're looking at, and oh, that's a Akali pick. I'm gonna forget about Rakan. let's talk about this Akali pick. Probably gonna go in the mid lane, potentially in the top lane as well. We've seen it work both ways.
That's a really early Akali, and with so much up, there's actually like a lot of high priority picks. Jace was available. Looking at it, Ziggs was available. We already have the Morgana, of course, on the side of Team Queso and the Varus on Zero Zone, but it's really interesting to see how they're avoiding some of the high priority picks that we've seen already today. Zed taken away from the middle lane, from the Zero Zone, so no AD mid lane threat, at least at this point. Of course, with Morgana down in that bottom lane, there's already one sense of AP coming from Joey Skag. So we'll see where Team Queso go with their mid lane pick.
Yeah, the one thing I have to mention about this draft so far is that Patterson's already got two of his main champions gone completely. And normally, when he can't play Camille, he can't play Darius, he normally falls back on the Riven and also the Akali. So this Akali is a flex pick. Severa has played it in the mid lane as well. See Zero Zone banning out the Zed for the side of Veos, and Andreas with the Graves as well. Both champions they've played before and been really strong. Interesting enough, Lee Sin being banned away by Team Queso, so just denying that away, because we've seen how strong Andreas can be on this Lee Sin, and we'll have to see what the last ban is going to be for Team Queso. But no real surprises at the moment with the draft. I think, as you mentioned, you know, Jace for these two teams, they don't really prioritize it that much, and the same with Ziggs. Our nation loves playing AD carries, especially the Varus, who he's been really strong on, and then Joey on the other hand just prioritizes Morgana just for that team fight pressure and all the crowd control that it can offer.
Or an item band. We'll see what Zero Zone pick up next. I wonder whether Andre will go towards something like the Kha'Zix that's available. We've seen a lot of bans towards that Kha'Zix. Zero Zone also looking for their jungler, so I think it just depends. Jax has made it through the draft this time. Saw a lot of bans in the last game. We've seen it paired with Yuumi a bunch to be at its strongest, but this time is going to get taken out early on. Kha'Zix would be one option here. You're not as reliant on auto attacks when you're dealing damage, so kind of can trade fairly well, at least in theory, against the Jax. However, Jax, of course, outscales and does a very good job the later into the game they go. Wonder where Team Queso are going to go. Normally, it's a carry out of the jungle for Andre. So Diana, now it has to be something bringing attack damage from the jungle as well. You have enough damage already, but it has to be something that can at least survive and output a little bit of AD when it comes to team fights.
I feel like Vi wouldn't be a bad pick here when you're trying to catch out, but it's going to be the Kha'Zix, as you mentioned, the other assassin going over. So they have a double assassin comp with Kha'Zix and Diana going to be jumping in onto the back line. And you've also got, you know, likes of Rakan engaging, Morgana wants to engage, Darius as well. All these teams all these players on the side of Team Queso just want to go in. And now we're going to see where this Akali is going to go. Jax got picked away by Zero Zone, and it is going to be the Jace. So I would think it's going to be an Akali top Jason mid, but I could be wrong because Akali's been played in both lanes for Zero Zone, but we haven't seen too much of Jace for Zero Zone, so I'm not too sure where this is going to be picked up.
Yeah, there's a little bit of movement still to be done between the Akali and the Jace. We'll find out where that goes in game. As you mentioned, double assassin composition on the side of Team Queso. I mean, this is the kind of comp that Andre can run away with, where at least some damage gets down in front, and then the Darius from Acolyte can pick up the kills at the end if Andre ends up falling. Black Shield's going to give him a lot of room to work with as well in these fights. Hard to crowd control him. Got to find a target though. Akali is kind of slippery. Jace can get away. Jax can of course land that kind of strike. So not exactly the easiest targets to take down, but Team Queso, I think this is kind of the composition that we're expecting out of them, something that looks somewhat familiar to this. And then Zero Zone, I mean, they've played so many games this week that they've been improving and looking better that this is what they feel comfortable with. That early priority on Akali is not something we're used to seeing.
It's definitely not something that we're used to seeing, but again, it's probably the priority that Team Queso did as well, you know, banning out the Camille, taking away the Darius as well, reducing the champion pool on the side of Zero Zone, which has to make them think they have to try and pick these other champions. So I'm really interested to see that Barrel Lane matchup, which Hells did point out as a key point in this game, Patterson against Acolyte. I've seen it throughout the entire week, you know, both these players going at it, fighting, solo kills after solo kills. So I'm really excited to see what who's going to go to Patterson and who's going to go to Saphira. Like I said, I think it might be a Akali top, but it could be the other way around. around.
Yeah, I think Patterson's been making a bit of a name for himself the last few weeks. We've seen some good performances on the side of Zero Zone. It's going to be Patterson on the Jace, Saphira on the Akali. So a little bit of a flip perhaps from what we were expecting, but Methanaut already roaming up towards the top lane to try and get this game started, as Patterson's going to give the leash over to Labunya. Patterson, if he comes into the lane, Methanaut, if they're going to put the damage down, Patterson now in a lot of trouble, likely forced to flash out from his, yes they will, as that's the bleed, tick, 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 and Methanaut can't quite convert the kill, and it's enough. Acolyte picks up a very important first blood, makes the roam worthwhile.
Yep, that roam is going to be worthwhile, and Joey could just play completely safe in this duo lane. You could just use the W, which he's going to be using now. And look,
wow.
Oh, wow. Looks like Twitch chat is not on my side today. That's a 98% to 2% on the side of Team Queso. I mean, I think the Team Queso, to be fair, are probably going to win this. But I do have trust in Zero Zone, but it hasn't worked out too well for them in the early game. And again, Methanaut roaming around with Rakan. We kind of spoke about it a little bit in the previous series as well. Just how much Rakan can offer, the knock-up, the extra shielding, the healing as well that he can offer just makes him a perfect champion, especially in team fights as well with that quickness.
I think one of the really difficult things to deal with now is like a Jace from behind is going to struggle to at least have lane presence when it comes to the 2v2s. And speaking of 2v2s, this middle lane, Sephiroth and Labunya are here. And the reason I bring that up is like Andre wants to hit and run in this lane, right? He wants to come up, get an immediate kill, back away, and not take an extended fight. And I think when you're behind on Jace, it can be difficult to do that.
Yeah, it can be really, really difficult, especially when you're against someone like Acolyte as well. But he hasn't actually done too bad. He's only, about 200 gold behind. I think the wave is pushing in to Acolyte, so he is going to be we're taking more of the CS, so he's going to be a little bit far ahead. But look, now Fran's the one that's roaming up to the barrel lane. It's all about supports roaming this game, but Acolyte, great pull.
Yeah, Acolyte kind of interrupts what Fran was trying to do. A lot of this is just about shoving it as fast under tower and forcing Acolyte back away as much as possible. That gives Methanaut and Joey Skaggs a lot of time in the bottom lane to be safe. Methanaut can kind of help push this back out, recall and look for a roam of his own. So Zero Zone have to be careful this doesn't bite them on the back end of Fran kind of soaking experience away from Patterson.
Yeah, we always see these roams by the supports, which I quite like, to be fair. Most of the time you see just supports sitting in lane, not really doing much, just exchanging here and there. But the freedom of Wild Rift and being able to roam around the map, because you get passive experience and you also get a lot of passive gold as well, just allows for these supports to be more of a playmaker, which I think supports can definitely thrive upon, especially on the likes of Galio and Rakan. And speaking of roams, that's a 3-man roam maybe potentially in the Baron lane.
Yeah, Labunya is up to Baron lane as well. They're actually pushing very far up in the lane, and Andre has avoided that ward. They know that the timing on this could not have been better from Andre and Labunya's court. That is the most horrendous timing, like unfortunate for Labunya that, how could you know that Andre and Methanaut have literally just got into that bush unwarded? That's really well read by Team Queso and unfortunate for Zero Zone.
The sweeper just timed out as well by Labunya. It was so sad, and unfortunately he wasn't able to survive in that situation, especially when there's 3 members of Team Queso roaming up to the Baron lane as well. So early advantage for Team Queso, few hundred gold lead, nothing too crazy. Now we're going to be seeing them dual lane carries roam to the mid lane. It's going to be the wave clear for Joey, for Varus as well. Interesting enough, with Joey's build, he doesn't really like to go for Luden's Echo, so he doesn't feel like he needs a mana. He goes straight for Leandri's Taunt, goes Rylai's Crystal Scepter for the combo of the slows that you can get with the pull and with the root from Joey, and then he goes for like Death Cap and other items as well. So most of the time you see like Luden's Echo as the first item, but Joey's like, nah, I don't need mana at all. I just want more damage.
Yeah, just wants that burn to come through eventually. And I mean, there's a bit of a gold lead now from Queso for their 2 players. They spent some time out of lane. Now it's going to be a handshake on these objectives. And it's going to be Dragon taken for Team Queso, Rift Herald taken by Zero Zone, and Fran's going to play defensive At least at this point, there goes Methanol going into the fight. However, this is a bit of an overextend from Team Queso. They managed to get at least Acolyte out of there with his life. That's a huge moonfall, and that may very well be the downfall for Zero Zone. Taunt comes through from Fran. Fran's gonna drop, doesn't even get the kill onto Veos. Into the back line goes Sephiroth, trying to at least take 1 or 2 kills from this. Out goes Methanol over the wall. Joey Skaggs playing babysitter at this point. The Morgana doesn't have enough mana to do anything. Uh-oh, Sephiroth, he can get back in, picks up 1, can't quite get onto Methanol. Methanol just high enough from Joey Skaggs. He's a carry from AD after all, lands the auto attack, gets the kill. Joey Skaggs tidies it up at the end. Huge fight for Team Queso.
What a scrappy engage. We both felt like, and I definitely felt like Zero Zone got it. And it started off well for Zero Zone. Methanol engage wasn't too great, only landed on 1. They call out Acolyte, and Acolyte needs to zone away, but it's a counter engage. Veos with the 4-man moonfall, being able to land on every single member on the side of Zero Zone, and he was able to clean up the fight in the back line. But again, it was the other mid laner, and this time for Zero Zone, it was Sephiroth on the back line, just trying to dodge, dip, and dive throughout all of these members of Team Queso. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish this off, but he got a few decent kills in the end. Really, really nice dodge as well with the Dark Binding. Was able to eventually pick up Veos as well, but unfortunately, Joey Skaggs just flashing, auto-attacking, showing his AD side of things. You know, I don't need abilities. I can just auto-attack. Yeah, even with Morgana, I just need to flash an auto-attack to win these fights.
In PC, you just be like, oh, right click them. What is that? For like auto target them? It doesn't matter in Wild Rift. They're gonna go diving. This is the hit and run we were talking about that Team Queso want to pull off. Easy kill onto Patterson, and while Rift Herald does get popped in the bottom lane, it's gonna be first turret going over to Queso in the top lane. I think they have the minions. No, they got forced away. Oh, it's gonna be close. It's bot lane. Oh, I put my money in the wrong place. Ever so slightly. 1 more minion would have done it in top lane for Queso.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to take your advice for bets. That's for sure.
Wow. Maybe I've just got you losing your bets in mind at this point.
Maybe you want to do that on purpose. But anyway, a real big focus this game for Team Queso is on that barrel lane. You know, we've spoken briefly about Patterson being the main carry, but
mid lane is the exchange as Methanol goes in. They couldn't quite stick the damage down onto Fran. It's going to be the end of that fight. Ooh, yes. Sniped from downtown as Our Nation picks up the kill.
Our Nation with the piercing arrow with the snipe as well, just using the ability from 20 miles away. It's fine. He has as much range as what he needs to be. But yeah, I mean, going back briefly, you can see the Team Queso's game plan this game was definitely to try and shut down Patterson. You know, the early roam by Methanol, the 4-man tower, 4-man gang in the top lane as well to shut out Labunya. And then they're also taking the barrel lane tower as well, which means that Patterson has to be a little bit safer as well in this barrel lane. It's currently 0 and 3 on this Jace. And you can see that I still think he can definitely perform on champions like Jace, but when you take out the Darius, when you take out his Camille, he doesn't have as much free reign. He doesn't feel as comfortable as with the likes of Jace.
Yeah, not quite where we're expecting him to be. Mid lane, we're already seeing the pressure onto this mid lane tower. Our Nation should be able to clear this out fairly quickly as Fran is here as well. Methanol was there. So, I mean, Queso are trying to chip down this middle tower as much as they can. It's not quite working out as quickly as they would want to. They might need that second Rift Herald of the game to really easily break through. Even though there's only 700 health, it's difficult to get the waves to push up against the Varus.
Yeah, I mean, both sides trying to push as much as they can in the mid lane tower. They're trying to get that mid lane priority, as we always try and talk about as well. Infernal Dragon is going to be the next dragon for the side of team for both sides, actually, not for the side of Team Queso, because they might not even get it. But Joey already taken a lot of poke damage from Our Nation and from that Shock Blast acceleration gate. Andreas though needs to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, does manage to get himself away. He was looking for the kill onto Sephiroth, who didn't even use barrier or flash. Methanol is in the dragon pit. Has to flat. No, just jumps head over the wall. Was looking for the engage. Couldn't quite land it where he was looking for it. And Infernal Drake has been started up by Zero Zone. They're going to try and rush this one down. 3,000 health on it. We'll see whether Andre can get anywhere near. Joey is so far away from this fight that Veos and the rest of the team couldn't quite get in time. Andre is going to try and get his flash back over the wall. Veos forced to use Moonfall, doesn't get the kill, and Sephiroth is going to barrier as he jumps out. Can they get the mid lane tower? No, it's going to be defended by Patterson. And again, Team Queso not able to get what they want from the objective. Oh, Apprehend doesn't quite land. Stasis forced out. Chains of Corruption used as well. And Zero Zone have dissuaded the engage once again. Now it's going to be Veos backing out with Flash bot lane. I think he's going to fall from this, but Rift Herald did go over to Team Queso. That should mean they can break mid tower whenever they want. Veos is going to drop eventually. Stasis forced. Friend's going to be able to land it. No, it's going to be... Oh, he actually trades the kill, Labunya. Oh, I thought that was an easy handoff.
The stasis there by Veos underneath the tower. If Labunya stepped any closer, he would have taken one more tower shot, and that extra tower shot that he took was the difference. Really, really well played by Veos, and as you mentioned, it meant that Team Queso had control of this top side of the map. They were able to take the Rift Herald, but briefly after that as well, in that Dragon fight, it was really, really well played by Zero Zone, using the poke that they have with our nation, with Patterson as well, taking down Joey Skaggs really, really low. So like you said, he was completely out of the fight. You see Andrea's build here, going for the Dust Blade and the Ghost Blade as well on top of that, just going for a lot of damage. You can see he's evolved the first ability already and the third ability. So he's going to be dealing a lot of damage with his first ability, and also can try and get the resets as well from his third ability when he's jumping around, getting them takedowns.
I feel like these games between our top teams, we're starting to really see the presence of the likes of Varus and Ziggs now that teams are making fewer mistakes. There are still mistakes, don't get me wrong, on both sides of the Rift, but like when we've had less competitive matches, like the top teams have been able to break through the wave clear very quickly and very easily. This time around, like you just don't have the advantage to be looking for fights elsewhere. However, they're going to go and try and get right through the middle as our nation is caught under the turret, forced to stasis. That's a great defensive play here from our nation. This is exactly what I'm talking about, is like the rest of the team are there in enough time. Didn't even commit the Galio ult to do it.
Sephiroth dropping low as well in the Dura lane. It looks like Team Queso have control of the map at the moment. They're trying to make plays around the map. Acolyte in the mid lane trying to pick off our nation. It looks like it was a Veos in the end trying to get the Dura lane kill onto Sephiroth, but Zero Zone are doing well to hold off the pressure that Team Queso are offering at the moment, but they need to try and find some way to reduce this goal lead, because it's about 4,000 goal lead at the moment for Team Queso. We need to wait for items to come through for the likes of Patterson, our nation, and we're still waiting for Sephiroth as well on this Akali, and also the Labunya as well, which looks like he's going for Wit's End as a second item. We don't really see it too much, but I guess because you're against a triple AP threat of Morgana, Diana, and obviously Rakan does a little bit of AP damage. It's a nice adjustment for the build by Labunya.
We'll see whether Labunya can actually scale into the game. It's funny that both of our marksman players or Dragon Lane carries both opting towards utility, of course, with the Morgana and of course the Varus. Now they're going to go in. Chains of Corruption lands. That's Fran dropped to start this fight, and a lot of the health bars on Team Queso are still very, very high up and healthy, and into the back line goes Veos trying to pick one up, and that's Andre actually completing the kill. Veos picks up one for himself. The knockup doesn't connect because of the stasis, but there goes another one as it's a double kill for Andre from that mid lane fight with the Rift Herald play. This is going to be an inhibitor, and the death time is at 20 seconds. This could be the game.
It could be the game. There is that little bit of a backdoor bonus, so but they're going for the win. They could end this in 13 minutes.
Push. Rift Herald is going to do enough to push it down, and that's a very quick game-ending fight from the mid lane position around Rift Herald. No Barons even available in this game. Queso, that's how quickly they can end the game. If they're in the right position to do it, they're committed to it, and pick up the ace, pick up the Rift Herald, push it through mid lane, and end the game.
You can see just the rotations of Team Queso are just so much better than Zero Zone. They're always catching out members of Zero Zone across the map as well, whether it be in the mid lane for that last fight, whether it be in the barrel lane as well, catching out Labunya, the early game roams as well, and the early game level 1 by Methanol as well. You can just see that Team Queso as a team is just roaming around the map and just a lot stronger than Zero Zone. A 13-minute game, I'm not too sure, but is that potentially our quickest game of the WREC. Thinking about it probably is.
Feels like it's one of our quickest for sure, and it's I think it's just an odd one to end like that, because while Queso were ahead and they were looking very good, like this didn't look like the game was about to end on just like one fight. So I think Queso kind of lucky to find that window of the fight being so close to Zero Zone's base that they can end. But these early game fights were a little bit back and forth. I think that first blood's so important for Methanaut getting Acolyte started on this Darius. It made it really difficult, and that Moonfall was exactly what they needed from Veos.
Yeah, I felt like Zero Zone did have an advantage in some of these fights, but unfortunately they weren't able to clean it up. They weren't able to carry on with the team fights, because it was always either Veos coming in to clean up, it was Methanaut as well coming in, Darius as well, and Acolyte. And as you mentioned as well, the top lane, the early game was so important for Team Queso, shutting down Patterson. They did it in Champion Select. They took the early rotation of the Darius. They banned out the Camille. They realized the threat as well. And it's played by Veos in the dual lane, just being able to trade against Labunya as well. And then this was a lost team fight, if I correctly recall. It's just again being caught out, Galio being caught out. You see Andreas as well, just solo killing Patterson, just realizing that Patterson is not as strong this game as what he is. And with the minion wave pushed in, with the Rift Herald as well, with all 5 members left alive for Team Queso, that was it. And that's game 1, over and done, as easy as that.
Yeah, game 1 from having mid tower still standing to a Nexus fall within about 30 seconds of that entire sequence. Once again, Team Queso playing out the exact kind of comp we've come to expect from them, where Andre is on 1 carry with like Veos and Acolyte providing a lot of damage on top of it, and with Joey just basically playing this utility role from the bottom lane. It suits them very well. Like Andre seems so capable with the rest of the team in this setup that Queso are really interesting to watch, really fun team to watch. Zero Zone, on the other hand, this game, I just think they couldn't find what they were looking for out of the draft. Didn't really match up to what Queso were bringing, and unfortunately, they couldn't get Patterson onto one of his usual carries that we've seen him do very, very well on.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised as looking into game 2 that maybe Zero Zone pick the blue side, so maybe they can prioritize the carry for Patterson, but even the gold lead there as well. You can see it was just always in Team Queso's favor. They always had a steady gold lead, and it shot straight up after that last team fight. They were like, okay, one last team fight, Rift Herald down mid. Shelly, you can do all the work. We're just going to clean up the Nexus.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward how Team Queso did it. Kind of almost reminiscent of how quickly games ended when we had double Rift Heralds coming through, although I never want to see that ever again in my life. Let's take a look at the play of the game from that series. It really could be the last entire end of the game is one of them. There are a couple of other fights. That Moonfall from mid lane, it's going to be the game-ending fight.
Yeah, the initial engage is trying to catch up Franda. You can see Andreas in the top side of your screen. You can see just solo killing Patterson, and Patterson just didn't have a very, very fun time this game. And then meanwhile, it was just Veos in the backline as well. Veos as well having a very, very strong performance. You spoke about the 4-man Moonfall as well. And then after this, they were just able to use Rift Herald. You can see that the minions were there as well. They were able to use Shelly to tank up and do a lot of damage to the towers and Nexus and clean up that first game against Zero Zone.
Yeah, very straightforward game from Team Queso. We'll see whether Zero Zone have it in the tank to bounce back. We've seen better performances out of Zero Zone, and they definitely are still one of the dark horses in the tournament. They're going to have to face off against Europeans, basically defending champions from Queso. There were some lineup swaps, but we're not going to make any lineup swaps as we head away from a break. 3.5 minutes, we'll be back with game 2. Welcome back, everybody, to the WREC. We're heading into our second game between Team Queso and Zero Zone. I nearly forgot we went in Series 1 of the day then, but nevertheless, it's been a long week for you, Stuart. I'm going to take your fatigue as my fatigue. You've been casting 8 days of games. You've seen this matchup twice before, and I feel like it started in the way that you are anticipating between Team Queso and Zero Zone.
Yeah, I think this is what I've been watching throughout the whole week. Again, it's just the macro difference of these two teams, and it's rotations by Team Queso, roaming around the map, using the advantages of how strong they are as a team and individually as well. And I feel like I've gotten a bit of deja vu here. I've already seen Team Queso beat Zero Zone 2-0 twice before. Maybe we're looking at another one as well. But going into this, going into the second game, I really want Zero Zone to potentially go into the blue side, as we see. Blam's got a bit of support for Zero Zone as well, so shout out to Blam, who's on my side as well, at least. So at least I've got some people on my side, even though Twitch chat was only, 2%? So yeah. I've got potentially some people on my side.
That was a Queso fan stacking the ballot, just trying to stuff as many votes as they can with those channel points. Yeah, I mean, sending energy over to Zero Zone, it might take a little bit more than energy. I still think they can bounce back into this. Let's hear from Hells on what Game 1 had for us and potentially what he's expecting out of Game 2.
That's right. So looking at some key points between Team Queso and Zero Zone, really great rotations early game by Team Queso. Like the first 6 minutes, we saw that initial gank by Methanaut, amazing. But besides that, they also had some really great ganks through the mid lane, jungle, and everything like that. So very good job from Team Queso by getting themselves ahead through those early game rotations. And this is a funny one, but Stasis madness. We had like 6 or 7 stasis enchants in this game, and we saw them being used so well. Examples are like Vegas, when he used his stasis enchant and was able to get that kill on the Bunyas on the Jax. And then also Zero Zone using very good stasis enchants, denying engages from Team Queso. And we're probably going to be seeing more of that in the next games. You know, that stasis enchant, just everyone has been building it. And then Team Queso's draft was amazing. Their composition fully enabled Darius and Kha'Zix. They had the Morgana and the Rakan to catch out an enemy. We saw it happen multiple times. They even went for tanky champions like the Galio, but still, even though they catch out the Galio, Kha'Zix and Darius are going to kill the champion. So really great draft by Team Queso right there. It's going to be interesting to see how Zero Zone is going to be dealing with it in the next game. So back to Stress and Stewart to check it out.
Thanks, Hells. We'll be keeping our eyes on those points and also just seeing how Zero Zone can bounce back in general. I didn't think their draft was particularly bad, or I didn't think that there was too much in the draft that was weird, but I don't know. I feel like these are two teams that are playing slightly differently from what we expect out of the top teams when it comes to their drafts. Like, so much around jungle for Team Queso and then so much around Baron lane typically for Zero Zone that I'm interested in seeing the second draft of the series.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what side actually Zero Zone picks. I mentioned briefly before the key points. You know, is Zero Zone take the blue side that they can maybe look to prioritize Patterson on a champion, maybe ban out the likes of Morgana, which we've been seeing so much from Joey, Rakan as well potentially. That's kind of the problem when you're stuck on red side. You feel like you have to ban the likes of Fiora all the time, Yuumi as well, and it is going to be Zero Zone on the blue side. Really like this adaptation by Zero Zone, and now we're going to see if they can potentially get a Camille first pick, which they have done before.
Yuumi blue side ban. That tells me that Zero Zone does not want to play Yuumi. That is a massive amount of information that teams give over. And this is something that coaches, if you're watching and you're not taking note of this, this is something in PC that people do forever, is blue side bans tell you more information than red side bans every single game. Zero Zone going to ban away the Vayne. You've mentioned it's already been done a couple of times this week against Team Queso. Camille made you ooh that it was a red side ban. They get that flexibility by not having to ban Yuumi.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Like you said, they don't have to ban Yuumi because Team Queso feel confident enough that Zero Zone, as you mentioned, don't play Yuumi, and that's why they ban it out every single time. So Camille's going to be banned. Olaf's going to be banned. Pretty sure these are the same bans as game number 1 so far. I'm going to be seeing if they're going to be staying the same as well. So Morgana, Galio, interesting enough, being banned on the side of Zero Zone. So if Set's not banned here by Team Queso, I would 100% expect a set being picked up, and it will most likely go to Fran as well in the support role. I'll probably jinx it. I haven't jinxed it. It's a Fiora ban, so I would expect to see set first picked here, and it's going to go into the hands of Fran most likely.
And Fran on that set, like,
no.
you jinxed it on the set, but it's going to be Patterson picking up the Darius, likely going to be for Patterson. We've seen Darius go into the middle lane today. I don't like it as much as Baron lane, just from a very theoretical, fundamental level. I think Darius's performance there is the best. It opens you up to a lot of other picks. So what do we get? Rakan, Ziggs is available if they want it for Team Queso, for Joey.
Morgana, probably.
Morgana is there too. Yeah, that's a big pick. Has been for Team Queso as well. Could look towards jungle as well. If it's going to be Kha'Zix, Lee Sin, something like that, it's the Morgana. You've casted this team so much this week. You know exactly where this draft's going from Queso's side.
Yeah, Morgana, Rakan, no surprise. And the first pick from Darius just shows so much about Zero Zone. They want Patterson on a comfort pick. They don't worry too much about the set. The set is still open if they do want to put that in the hands of Fran. Again, it's going to be Varus for our nation down in the duo lane. But again, putting Patterson on the comfort pick like Darius, because if it wasn't first picked, it could have been taken away by Team Queso, which means Patterson has to go lower and lower again on his champion pool, which didn't really work out too well for him in game number 1. So we're going to see what the last pick is going to be. And it is going to be Diana as well against Zafiro. Probably his most comfortable champion in the mid lane, and it prioritizes that AP damage source early on as well, because they have picked the likes of Varus as well.
So I guess this is Zero Zone just saying, okay, we want to pick our strongest carries that are available from the pool of champions that are there, and saying, okay, well, support will bring some utility, jungle will probably bring some utility, we'll just pick up the next best ones because we're not looking to carry from those roles. For once, Team Queso aren't either, as they haven't prioritized jungle early on. Thresh banned away from the side of Team Queso, so won't be able to give that over to Fran. There's the Akali ban out of Zero Zone this time around, so I'm guessing that's against the Diana, trying to prevent that mid lane matchup. As I guess Zero Zone just say we don't want to face that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting ban. I don't think I've seen Veos play Akali too much, to be fair. Alistar being banned as well. Maybe potentially Team Queso don't think that Zero Zone are going to pick up the set, because the only problem is that if you do play set, and if the Morgana Black Shield does go on the likes of Rakan, which we did see last week, Fran playing set into Rakan, just using ultimate to disengage Rakan and make sure Rakan gets away. But because you have that Black Shield now and you can put the Black Shield on Rakan, it means that he can just easily dive into the backline. Jace, interesting enough, being banned away as well. So this Renekton could go in the hands of Acolyte, could go in the hands of Veos as well. Jack's going to be picked up for Andreas. He did play that during the week as well. Yeah, another carry for Andreas, as you mentioned. And that's kind of the style of Team Queso. Put Andreas on a carry, let him roam around the map, let him make plays, and he will be the one that will carry the game. So
2 supports banned away from the side of Team Queso as we see the Kha'Zix picked up. I wonder whether that means we're going to see Fran take a sidestep. It could still be the set from that bottom lane. Yeah, it is. Okay. Exactly as you predicted coming into this is what Zero Zone have been playing a ton of. Our nation selecting the Kha'Zix for Labunya, of course, is Labunya going to try and play that carry matchup against the carry. So, I mean, Team Queso will have the late game for sure. Like, nobody can match the actual late game of this Jax from Andre. The early game skirmishes, they should have quite a lot of bite in, though. Ooh, and there's some early game rounded out from Team Queso, picking up the Zed, going against that Diana. So that gives them a little bit more early game, a little bit of assassin threat, while having that late game scaling Jax there, just for some insurance.
Yeah, I haven't seen Labunya pick up the Kha'Zix before, so it's very interesting to see how Labunya will play around this Kha'Zix. I feel like, as you said already, I think Kha'Zix needs to do something with these early game skirmishes, because if Jax just gets scaled into the late game, if he just keeps farming up, if he plays safe, then he could just scale and scale. And when you have, the likes of Morgana, you have Zed and Renekton as well, when it comes to these team fights, Team Queso's comp is absolutely disgusting, to be fair. The amount of CC they have, the amount of damage potential they have as well. It's going to be really, really scary for Zero Zone. But they got a few comfort picks. They got Patterson on the comfort pick, Saphira on Diana. They have the support as well, set by Fran to try and disengage or try and stop the engage of Team Queso. Yeah,
you've hinted at it already, but like one of the ways that you can actually stop a Jax is like by just CCing him in place and running away and making sure Counter-Strike doesn't allow him to close the gap and get the auto attacks down to people. Now with the back shield, he's going to dodge auto attacks, he's going to dodge crowd control, he's going to dodge magic damage for a little while. So like Andre if he doesn't fall behind, should be able to kind of tear through a lot of these fights the later the game goes. It is scary though, with a Darius on the other side. Patterson has been set up basically with this first pick to try and get one of his primary carries. We'll see whether Zero Zone can utilize that and actually bounce back in game 2. This is a lower bracket matchup. That means the loser of this series will be out of WREC. A loss in this single game would put Zero Zone out, whereas they will have to bounce back 2 games in a row to fire back against Queso and advance into the next round of the lower bracket. We're on to the Rift 4 game 2 between Zero Zone and Team Queso. Let's see whether Zero Zone can settle this series to 1-1.
Yeah, hopefully Zero Zone can find a way to come back. You can see that the Fran's gone for Aftershock. You normally take the rune on set support if you haven't seen it too much recently. This just allows you to play aggressive in the early game. You could try and take them early game trades, and when you use all of your Twitch chat, I feel like you're doing this on purpose
1%
now.
More.
I feel like Twitch chat's doing it on purpose just because I have trust in Zero Zone, but no surprise really that there's quite a lot of Team Queso fans. But yeah, as mentioned, the Aftershock by Fran just allows him to be that little bit extra tanky, because with set support, you don't really need to build damage. You don't need to build the likes of Black Cleaver. You're going to be seeing Dead Man's Plate. You're going to be seeing potentially Force of Nature as well, and other tank items, so he could just be that disengage tool and be that frontline tank for Zero Zone.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you're never going to get gold set support. Like, you're not farming in this lane. You're not really going to be able to output enough damage to take control of it. So we'll take a look at the early game around mid lane, as well as Beos is under a little bit of pressure as therefore hit level 3 first. They cleared out a ward and now look towards the bottom lane as Fran tries to catch Methanaut. Remember last game, Methanaut roamed up to top lane to start the game out and got the first blood for Acolyte. This hasn't happened this time around, as Joey Skaggs has needed him there for a little bit more help around that bottom lane.
Yeah, I need a little bit more help, especially against a set as well that can look to just get that movement speed to run towards you. Use the face breaker to pull Joey in as well. But Patterson's still in a little bit of trouble in this Baron lane matchup. Renekton does have that little bit of an early game advantage with the trades that he can offer as well. Just a lot stronger than Patterson on Darius, but as the game gets on, as long as Patterson gets tankier, he gets to deal more damage as well. Again, we're looking at roams by Fran. He always does this. During the week as well, he always did the same. He always looked to roam up to the Baron lane, try and make plays, which is what Set can offer as well. If you roam around the map, if you use that face breaker, if you can use the ultimate as well to try and get the early game advantage, that can really look to accelerate the goal lead. And it worked out last game as well for Methanaut, and he's looking to roam around as well. So most of the time in this current meta, we just see dual lanes just playing by themselves. It's like they're on an island in the dual lane for the first 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's really hard to get any presence down towards that bottom lane early on. We're not actually going to talk about 3.1 changes because they're not hitting the Rift anytime soon. I am wondering how the delayed objectives are going to work, though, because in the current meta, we have like 3 minutes of laning, 20 seconds of recalling, and then 15 minutes of being mid lane. Which, I mean, it basically prioritizes like champions that can fight around objectives very good early game. And the reason I bring it up is like Zero Zone's composition, I feel like do that quite well. Like their items are fairly early on that they can get. Their ultimates are really high impact ultimates as well. Whereas like Jax wants to scale, Zed can get some damage out, Morgana can get a little bit of damage out. But if you don't find the right targets, it's hard to take these team fights.
I totally agree with you. It's going to be interesting to see what Zero Zone are going to prioritize. We've got 30 seconds till the Dragons. We've got Dragon and Rift Herald, Ocean, Dragon, Herald, and yeah, I mean, if we start talking about patch 3.1, I feel like I could just talk about it for the rest of the day. So we better not start that conversation. 2 weeks from now. We've still got a long way to go for patch 3.1.
I'm sure you'll put out a video. Check out Stuart's YouTube. I'll plug it for you so you don't have to.
Oh, so kind of you, Stress. Appreciate it.
I mean you so much. I'm like, I gotta be nice. One hand gives,
every once in a while,
takes away. So everything can't break you down too much. It's a handshake on the objectives. It looks like as Kazu's going towards Rift Herald. It's going to be Team Queso going towards Dragon. They didn't start it. That is not a dragon being started.
They haven't started it, but also Zero Zone have not really started this Rift Herald either. Now they're going to commit to it, but now look at Andreas on the Jax. He's roaming instead. They want to fight this.
This is late, though. Already down to 2,000. The Eye plus a Smite should be enough to really take that out. And Acolyte is into backline. They've killed Kha'Zix, who actually got it as the Rift Herald has gone down. It looks like Methanol may have got it. Yeah, Methanol has actually stolen it. I saw the purple glow on his hands. That has gone disastrously wrong from Zero Zone. Oh, how has it happened? As Kha'Zix Labunya fell at the beginning of that exchange, Methanol pops the Rift Herald mid lane, and Sephiro can't do enough to hold this Rift Herald. It gets the charge off in mid lane.
Oh no, Zero Zone. I had trust in you. I predicted for you, Zero Zone, but I mean, Team Queso were just more confident. They were more confident in the fight. You can see the situation when we look back at this replay. As soon as Mephanort used ulti, boom, you can see Fran uses ulti straight afterwards. He tries to jump onto our nation, who was zoned in the back line as well. And we get another fight.
Ocean Drake's gone down, but Andre has already picked up one from this fight. The kill credit goes over to Veos as Team Queso were chasing through the bottom side. They already got, Zero Zone already got the Drake. They will back away.
Yep, they take another team fight win. The Dragon did go over to Zero Zone, but to be fair, it's only an Ocean Dragon. It's not that important compared to the likes of Cloud Dragon, Infernal Dragon, or anything like that. And they're going to look to try and take this first tower of the game as well in the duo lane. And Zero Zone, again, they're just second to everything, I feel like. The rotations again by Team Queso and the decisiveness as well to go in and team fight when they want to. It feels like Team Queso just can do whatever they want, and Zero Zone are ones that are always trying to react instead of being proactive.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about this too much, but I think one thing Queso have some pretty strong potential to do is pair Veos and Andre in the side lane, attack individuals. Sephiro now has Death Mark applied. Pop goes the Diana, getting a kill. They can then push towers, but it's top lane that Zero Zone are going to answer back, as mid tower, I think, is next under threat. Team Queso should just about have enough time with the Jax to push this through. Jax can shred through towers very, very quickly.
Yeah, you're going to shred through it. All the ulti.
And the charm. Maybe this is an actual engage opportunity. Fran is going to put damage out with the Haymaker and get at least some done. But look, Fran's still low. Empowered auto attacks from Andre, and this is what you do not want to let Andre do. How did he survive from that tower shot? The heal from Methanol kept him alive. Andre, on the tiniest of health, has been able to dive and get multiple kills.
He's level 9 already as well. He's like halfway through to level 10, and we're going to see the replay again. Methanol, great ulti, and Andreas as well, being able to dash in and use the counter strike to dodge all the auto attacks as well, which is a great thing. Flashes forward as well to survive somehow our nation's burst as well, and we get more fights.
Yeah, we're back into top lane now as Andre. He's dropped low, but he had the black shield on for a while. Haymaker's going to keep Set alive, and Andre has overstretched himself through the top lane. Methanol gets himself a kill. He's got a Rift Herald, he's got a kill, he's got everything in this game. But Team Queso have overextended top and failed on that play. 2 deaths in exchange for Patterson's life.
Yeah, 2-1 for Zero Zone. They'll take that for now. They're 5,000 gold behind in the early game, and I feel like if these early game trades and if the early game rotations are just a little bit better by Zero Zone, I feel like they could definitely look to try and work it out in the later stages against Team Queso. But it's just Zero Zone being aggressive again. It didn't work out for them that time, but throughout the whole of these last 2 games, it's just aggression after aggression. And this Rakan pick as well just allows you to play aggressive. You've got Morgana flashing in as well. And then, Patterson, how did you know?
Yeah, there's a ward right there. Methanol was stood right on that ward.
I didn't even see that. Anyway.
What save lives as here comes the dive. Double knockup from Zero Zone as they can't keep their turrets secure. They've even picked off Labunya from this point as Team Queso are going to try and continue. Veos is in a lot of trouble. He's going to try and shadow out towards the top side. Not going to be able to do it. And that is going to be another kill going over to Zero Zone. I mean, it's not clean by Queso, but they are extending their lead. They're up to 6,500 gold lead, if I can do math at this point in the day. 6.5k gold lead for Team Queso.
Thank God I don't play pro anymore, because I probably wouldn't have seen the ward, and I probably wouldn't have been able to get that. I probably would have died instead of being able to try and make the play on the Rakan there. But as you said, it's not it's not clean at all by Team Queso, not as clean as the first game, but they're trying to make these individual plays. They're trying to rotate around the map to extend that gold lead. As you mentioned, the Rift Hole looks like it's going to go over as well. And Zero Zone are just second to it. They don't really know what to do at this point. They feel too worried to push up in the mid lane as well because that mid lane tower is down. The Dragon is going to spawn, which is going to be Melted Dragon. Look at this. Team Queso again, rotating around the map, prioritizing the objectives, getting the vision control down as well. You can see in the top side of the map, 2 deep wards in the jungle, in the bot side as well, 2 deep wards in the side of Zero Zone's jungle. Labunya looking to go in.
Yeah, they don't have vision on it, so you can't really get it. And this is kind of odd pacing thing with Wild Rift is when you have a desynced objective game, meaning that one team takes both of the first objectives, they then basically have opportunity to get the second two. That's a great catch, though, as Team Queso overextending into the bottom lane. There's going to be an attempt at a kill from Veos, but that's an overextension. This is the problem. Team Queso, they get the objective. They should have just recalled.
Yeah, they should have just reset. They should have spent their gold, but they're trying to play a little bit too overconfident. Maybe they feel like they could do this and they can't really get punished for it. You can see Veos in the bush there, but they don't have that much vision. They don't have vision in that by that red buff and our nation with the Chain of Corruption. Veos jumping in as well. Labunya with the resets now that he has with the evolved third ability, allowed to jump around as well. And again, a little bit of an overextension. It's not the cleanest of games, but Team Queso still has about a 5,000 goal leader. Andreas needs to be a little bit careful, and he just knows. He knows something's up. He knows he doesn't want to overstep in the lane. He knows somehow that Zero Zone's there, but does Veos know? That's the question.
I hope so. And of course, it's right as I was about to be like, oh, it's so much easier when you can get both objectives to just take the second rotation of the objectives as well and get even further ahead. And then Chaos just unleashes in the bottom side of the map by Queso just going aggressive randomly. Speaking of aggressive randomly, Veos thinks this is the time to go aggressive on a Darius. I disagree, because Darius is pretty tanky with the Dead Man's Plate as well, has some armor behind him, and now Andre is locked down. Now Stasis is himself. Queso overreaching again and again. Like, it doesn't even matter that Counter-Strike is able to keep him alive. We see Joey Skaggs has fallen. Jax is going to Rift Child bot side. I said it doesn't even matter. It actually does now have a big impact on this game, as Acolyte has found damage in the middle lane, and I have been proved totally wrong. Andre dies in the bottom lane, overextending. Queso will pick up the fight in mid lane and push down the mid tower. Very scrappy. But Queso is still advancing their lead.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you were saying. It felt like Team Queso was playing a little bit over aggressive, but it's just the delay that Methanaut has to offer. Methanaut was delaying with the charm, then Joey afterwards delayed with the stasis and the ultimate, and Labunya could be taken down, but I don't think it's enough. Yeah, not enough
damage. It's always one of those things where you think, oh, they're quite low. Maybe not. No, it's not going to be enough. Methanaut has been on fire in this game, though, keeping them alive, and this is another example.
Yeah, the Black Shield as well, I wanted to briefly mention. The Black Shield on Rakan just didn't allow Fran to be able to suplex Rakan into his team, so he couldn't get the extra bit of damage. They did get the kill, but then afterwards as well, Methanaut jumping in with the double charm, with the knock up as well. I feel like this dual lane combination, Methanaut and Joey Skaggs, they've been playing together for so long. It's the new members as well in this lineup, with Veos as well in the mid lane, and even though they're not playing these crazy carries, they're playing like Rakan and Morgana, which you don't really feel as like, oh wow, they're playing amazing carries, but they're just playing so well as a team. They're just allowing Andreas to walk around the map, playing these more utility roles, and Patterson, I think Andreas should be fine. Yeah, gets the upper hand.
Andre, Black Shield did not apply in time by the looks of it as the suplex completed. Methanaut jumps back in on the top lane. Veos is going to push down. So it's another one of these situations where like Queso are going over aggressive on one side of the map and making a play on the other, and they're still getting the lead and extending the lead. Labunya is actually going to find 2 here. Should be able to convert the first kill. Doesn't actually, as Methanaut has played this so well to get that first kill out of there. As Veos now in trouble, trying to get out as Joey Skaggs is going to keep him alive for a moment longer. And now Veos gets the honey fruit. They're looking for the kill as Acolyte is cutting back into the lane. They're spotted on the ward though. In goes Veos, gets the damage down. Haymaker tries to keep him alive, and all 3 of Queso get out of there with both kills. And beautiful engage from them. Every time I think Queso are overextending, they're just on this edge of the getting advantage after advantage. Now up to 11k gold in the lead.
Yeah, 11,000 gold. Again, it's the over-aggression by Team Queso, but it's working out.
Yeah, they're going to catch Patterson. Patterson should fall here, and it'll start the Baron buff for Queso very quickly after. Queso, I think, have now reached the point where as long as they can take good fights, they're able to kind of close this game up. But Veos is going to drop as the rest of the team are on Baron, and I feel like we're in a similar situation now. Methanol playing defense. That Baron is low enough that they're going to be able to take it. No real chance of a steal. Labunya is caught by a support. Somehow Methanol is 1v2 against 2 carries.
Yeah, it shows the power of Rakan. Fran, unfortunately, not being able to get the pick off there with this set support. And I spoke a little bit briefly in draft about, the comfort picks for Zero Zone. They did get quite a few, or pretty much all of their comfort picks. I haven't really seen Labunya too much on Kha'Zix, but they're just not able to really capitalize, I feel like, on the mistakes by Team Queso, because it's definitely not a clean game by Team Queso by any stretch of the imagination. They're overextending quite a lot. They're getting picked off across the map, but Zero Zone are just so far behind in gold that they can't really look to use that advantage to try and go across the map. And Patterson, again, maybe try apprehend.
I mean, Andre sees at least one of them on his sweeper there and is still moving forward. Like, that's the kind of thing that I mean, when it works, it makes you look like insane when you can actually make that play work for you. But I mean, Andre could easily have got picked off. It's only because the Zero Zone don't have enough vision to know that there was literally nobody around Andre for a few seconds that they couldn't go aggressive. Now they're going to push with the Baron buff. This is 3 lanes worth of pressure pushing in. It'll be bot tower falling first, then one of the inhibitors will be under at least the impact of the Baron minions crashing in. It's a patient game as Andre pushes up. Tries to get it. Suplex back, doesn't hit anybody, and now he may be caught. Haymaker doesn't put the damage down. Stasis from Andre keeps him alive for a moment, and the health bars are just falling for Zero Zone. Team Queso with the Baron buff. They are going to push through. Only 3 members of Zero Zone left as Team Queso may wind this game up right now. Looking to advance through the lower bracket. That's a beautiful 5-man knock-in. Set tries to pick it up. It's a double kill for Joey, and it's going to be the game for Team Queso. Team Queso will advance with a 2-0 over Zero Zone, and they will go through to the next round of the lower bracket.
Yeah, Team Queso overall just a better team. I feel kind of sad for Zero Zone that they knocked out to WREC, but I feel like they will be back. They will become stronger as well, just with more preparation and everything as well. But just Team Queso, just a whole another level, and it just shows that even though they went to the Rising Cup last year, they were able to not do their best performance, but they're looking to try and do the same again with the Icon series. And this game started off again, it was a little bit back and forth, but Team Queso were able to win them early game skirmishes. And when you win early game skirmishes, when you have the likes of Morgana scaling, Jack scaling as well. And Patterson, he got his comfort pick. They first picked Darius so he could get his comfort pick, but unfortunately it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, it didn't work out, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from Zero Zone in the last chance qualifier, because I think there's a lot of strength in that lineup, especially Patterson. We've heard a lot from our nation as well, and I think that they performed better than we were expecting coming in, especially with that tier list you put together. I think you might have to relook at that one as we go through the rest of the last chance qualifier. For Zero Zone, that is the end of their road, unfortunately. I think Queso, probably having beaten Zero Zone twice this week already, they were like, okay, we can just overextend and we can play more aggressive than we normally would. I am looking forward to seeing Queso face off later on this weekend. I believe on Sunday they will actually be playing their next series against Na'Vi. So that is a tougher series for them to take on. And I think they have to tighten up a little bit of the weakness that we saw in some of these over-aggressive plays.
I think it is whoever loses the match between Rix and Formulation will face Team Queso, and then whoever loses out of Vivi Sports and Game Lord will face Na'Vi. So you still got the losers coming down from the winners bracket, which we'll see tomorrow, and then Sunday will be the like you said, the next loser round bracket. But yeah, I mean, as you said as well, Team Queso overall just really strong team performance. You could just see even though they have a few new members, they can still play really well as a team.
Yeah, looking very strong. And I mean, theoretically, that means it's even tougher opposition. You've got a top 4 team from the upper bracket coming down to play against you. So either way, I want to see Queso kind of tighten up some of those areas that went a little crazy that game. But I mean, Queso's playstyle is very specific. This time, Veos actually providing a lot of the kill credit rather than Andre. Of course, Andre was giving them a little bit of that late game, but still wanted to play aggressive on that Jax. You can see the damage coming through. Kind of makes sense for exactly what Queso were wanting to run. As I mean, this was a pretty straightforward game from them, not expecting anything other than it going all the way in the red once those first kills happened. Double objective take into winning the game basically from minute 5 onwards for Queso. They've proven why we should expect good things out of them. I mean, we saw them, of course, last year representing Europe on the world stage. We'll see whether Queso can actually put themselves in that position again. Everybody's playing towards that Icons Global Championship later this year, but we have so many teams fighting their way towards our Barcelona finals that I have no idea who's going to be the representative yet.
I think that's the crazy thing. Only one of these teams, we're down to, what is it now, the top 6? We've said goodbye to 2 more teams today. We're down to the last 6 teams. Only one of them could go to Barcelona. So it's going to be really interesting to see what team's going to come up top. Team Queso's looking really strong. Na'Vi looks a little bit shaky, but still winning out as well. We still have our top 4 teams as well that are going to be playing tomorrow. Viv, Game Lord, WREC, Formulation. It's going to go down to the wire, and I just can't wait to watch more Wild Rift action.
Yeah, I can't wait either. There's been some big plays so far. Let's check out the play of the game from this second game of the series that put Team Queso 2-0 through into the next round of the lower bracket.
Yeah, it's going to be that last team fight, and it was just a situation where multiple lanes were being pushed out and Methanor engaging onto our nation. Our nation, even though he used a stasis, he didn't time the stasis that well because the extra damage from the ultimate from Veos on Zed was able to do it. That's kind of the problem with playing Varus sometimes, when you're against that heavy engage from Veos on the Zed, from Methanor as well, and we've talked about Rakan being such a high priority pick throughout both the series. I think it had 100% pick rate, 100% pick and 100% pick and ban rate. Sorry, it got picked in 4 games. It got banned in 1 game as well by I can't remember who it was. Someone from the last game, a team from the last series. Sorry, I can't remember who it was. But yeah, Rakan showing up really, really strong in this tournament, and just showing the engage and the team fight potential. We're slowly moving towards this team fight meta, less towards maybe these heavy AD bruisers that we saw, maybe the split push potential, and now going more towards these team fight picks, like the likes of, Zed, who can do really well in team fights, Rakan as well, Morgana, these AP mages. Just makes up for what could be a great ending to this tournament.
Yeah, well, Rakan has charmed his way through the Rift today. We'll see whether either of these two can charm their way through this interview. It's Veos sitting with Hells for an interview.
All right, hey man. First of all, congrats on the victory. That was amazing, and especially you on that Zed. That second game was so good. But I'm not going to ask you about individual performance. I'm actually going to ask you about your current lineup of Team Queso, because you're new, right? You come from Game Lord, you have Joey and Methonaut. Do you feel 100% comfortable with this new lineup now in Team Queso?
Obviously, Team Queso changed a lot in the off-season, but I think we had to adjust a lot because of the different play styles everyone put into the new team. And I believe that we're doing a really good job at it, at working together very well, at putting everyone's input into the gameplay. So I feel very comfortable with this team, and I believe we have it to take it all in the end.
Yeah, definitely. I feel the same, and it's great to hear that from you as well. And talking about the next series, you're either going to be up against Formulation Gaming or WREC. And we all know, right, if we look at WREC, this is an incredibly good team in the series. How do you feel matching up against one of those teams next game, and it being in the loser bracket as well? Like, if you lose, it's done. If you win, you go through.
So obviously, being in the loser bracket puts a lot of pressure on every team. And I think Formulation and WREC are both very great teams. They have very good players, and wherever we're going to face, we will obviously beat them. And yeah, I just hope it's going to be a good series in the end for everyone.
Oh man, I love it. Like, I love Team Queso, and I love the players as well. I love the confidence, and I'm just really looking forward to the coming games that are coming from you guys. Do you have anything else to say before we shoot it to the casters?
Thank you for support to all the fans in Spain.
Of course, and I'm sure you, like the fans of Team Queso, loved watching those games as well. So best of luck in the next games. I'm going to be rooting for you guys as well. And yeah, we'll see you later in the interview after winning the next game.
See you.
House is going to be rooting for them. There's some bias in there somewhere. And the way that you were rooting for Zero Zone, no, we don't care about bias. It's all good. Everybody has their favorites. For me, Formulation is one of the teams I like watching, and we heard them talk about their potential future opponent for Team Queso. So we'll have to watch out how those matches go way down the line. We got to crown an MVP from this series, and I know all of us are pretty much unanimous after watching these two games that I think Methanaut from that support role had a massive impact.
2 games on Rakan, 2 stellar performances by Methanaut, proving that he can be up there with one of the top ones. We talk about the top supports from the Titans, as we like to call them as well. But Methanaut showing up that even though he's someone that's kind of come under the radar with Joey, showing that he can perform really well. And Rakan throughout this whole tournament, I feel like as well is becoming a really, really big priority pick. And if you give Rakan over to these top supports, if they can roam around the map, if they have the freedom that they can as well, and if you've got a dual lane carry that can stay in that dual lane and play safe while the support roams around. And as I said during game number 1, it feels like these supports are now playing more playmakers as well, and it allows them to shine, and that's why Methanaut got the MVP.
Yeah, Methanaut, a really solid performance. We're going to welcome back in Hells with us for the end of the show. I'm going to give him a content idea because I think we've just seen 2 games that prove that maybe next week's Broken as Hells could be Rakan. I think less memes in that one though. Like today's packed with those Garen memes. I saw you break. I saw you corpsing and laughing during that segment.
Yeah, I like this is gonna be a hard one for the production team to meme. I mean, I'm sure they'll find some way or another to still be able to make it funny and not allow me to do a serious analyzing because I just couldn't hold my laugh. It's so funny.
Production.
It's probably gonna be one for next week then.
All I'm saying is a Photoshop of Zaya Rakan with it being Hells in there. Like there's an idea in there somewhere. Somewhere there's an idea in there. We're going to come up with our memes for next week because that is the end of day 1, unfortunately. I mean, I wish we would have more games, but we of course have seen in the lower bracket Na'Vi advance and Team Queso advance. That means we said goodbye to Team Dark and Zero Zone, and now we await the upper bracket to see who's going to go on to the upper bracket final and who will drop down. It's Viv Esports and Gamelord and WREC GG and Formulation. 2 very strong matchups. I mean, it's really hard to call between these teams. And we're starting with Viv versus Gamelord tomorrow. Stuart, like this is such a big matchup. I know you've seen Gamelord kind of falter a little bit at times this week.
Yeah, Gamelord's not been performing too well. Kind of same with Viv Esports as well. It didn't perform too well during this week. So 2 teams that are looking to try and bounce back for the series. They're going to look to try and carry on and get into the upper bracket final, and they're going to have to play, WREC.GG or Formulation, which I think is another game. You said, you like to look to Formulation as well with these kind of wacky drafts that they've been putting off as well. Hopefully they might be able to pull off something a bit more wacky because they're going to need to against WREC.GG.
Yeah, Hells, I know you got your eyes on Doom on his zigs after last week's games. Rick, so this is Formulation. Do you think that that's the deal breaker is who gets zigs in that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, even if they don't get Ziggs, we know Ricks, right? Like they'll just bring something else. They'll bring the Varus, they'll bring whatever, and they'll make it work. That's how Ricks works, and that's why they're still in the upper bracket. That's why they've dominated every game. Obviously, you don't want to give them Ziggs though, because Doom on that Ziggs, that was a little too much for anyone to handle, really. But now after seeing the Rakan too, I'm interested to see whether or not Ricks is going to adopt this playstyle as well, right, with the Rakan. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to be playing the game next week.
Yeah, I believe that series is going to come to you tomorrow. We don't even have to wait till next week. That's the great thing. We're going to be back tomorrow. We're so excited for those series. We're just losing everything at this point. We're going to say goodbye. Thank you very much to Stuart and Hells for joining me today on the broadcast. We will be back tomorrow an hour earlier. Remember, our weekend shows do start a little bit earlier. So we will see you same place, a little bit of a different time right here tomorrow.